Not going to muck around with the intro here. You know the deal. Man City 2, Arsenal 2. Last week on the Big Six, we saw Turkish and Steve go at it, having a banter off, having a rattle battle, whatever you want to call it. I called it a rattle battle. They came back in fine form this morning for me in good old Sydney town watching, and they were just back to their bickering selves, just bantering, throwing shade and ad hominems inside and left, accusing fan bases of being sensitive and saying that they rattle fan bases and they love it, they're not upset, they'll take the point, but they're not celebrating it, and everything else in between. So without further ado, let's go to the first bit of the clip here, where I don't know, Steve reckons that he's not the one that's rattled. He likes rattling other people, but in this particular instance, he is definitely rattled himself. Claims that Turkish rather says that Steve claims validation from fans online, and Turkish says he doesn't. But again, we're talking about the Man City and Arsenal fan bases. Both of them want the validation. I think Arsenal want the validation of, look, we're a good footballing team. You should, praise us. And Man City want the validation of, we're Man City. We've won 4 in a row. We're going for 5 in a row, Champions League, etc., etc. Praise us all the same. So without further ado, let's kick it on.
City fans are very, very fragile, sensitive beings. For such a fan base that's won so much and done everything that Man United done and more, why are you so loud about it? Grizz don't need to be loud about Liverpool stuff. Saeed doesn't have to be loud about Man United stuff.
Being fragile. No Arsenal fan can talk about being fragile.
Okay.
None. For the last 2 seasons, you've stood there and said, you're going to win the league. You're going to do this. You've made videos outside the stadium dancing to Rice, Rice, Baby. Yeah? You've given all that nonsense and you've ended up with nothing. Big, massive Arsenal Football Club have ended up with nothing. And the little team you don't care about in Manchester has ridden you all over the park for the last 2 seasons. We ain't going nowhere, mate. You threw the towel in after 3 games. Your fan base might not get behind you, but my fan base get behind me. At the end of the day, I'm there putting my balls on the line. And I'm atting people because I want the conflict. I'm telling them we're coming for you for the fucking league title. You sit there in the background and say fuck all and play the safe card. Keep it safe, yeah? Now you've got been forced to the front. It doesn't suit you, mate. You're all over the gap. One minute you're ranting in a studio. Now you're telling me about charges. Then you're calling me Little Steve. Then you're mentioning Asterix. Your head's fell off, mate. If Skullfuggery makes a compilation of you in the last 2 weeks, there's only one person getting sent to the nutty house, and it's fucking you, not me.
I wouldn't be too sure about that because, again,
I'm seasoned, mate. 4 in a row. I'm seasoned. The treble.
You'd allow someone else to talk.
I tell you what, that's a whole lot of projection from Steve, who has been doing the most. If we're to believe what Turkish says, he's adding people in the group chat. He is responding to everybody online. I'm not sure if I put the clip in there, but that's what he said. He responds to everybody. I'm like, that can't be good for your mental health, man. All the deranged DMs and comments and tweets and messages you'd be getting, it would just be a bit too much. But the claim from Turkish that Steve seeks validation from other fans online, it's a bit funny though, because I've seen hella Arsenal fans, want to be praised for their performances, for their team and everything else in between. But ultimately, without the silverware, it's pretty much all for nothing. So they definitely need to win something this season, because if they don't, boy, you cannot escape the banter in that sense there. And at the end, if you noticed it, he says Skullfuggery is going to make a compilation of you. You're going to be sent to the nut house. I mean, I haven't heard Turkish say anything mad. Steve was the one who was saying, I've put my balls on the line, pause, and I'm the one who's saying we're going to win. And then he wants to come out and try and gas everybody up and say, I've never said anything crazy like that. And when I say crazy, yes, we know City can win the league. We've seen it happen 4 times in a row. More so to the point where he talks so much where you almost think to yourself, the man's got so much chest, but when it doesn't work out in his favor, he's got all the excuses in the world, which you're going to find out about in a few minutes' time, by the way. That's crazy. He loves winding everybody up. Instead of just taking the result, the point, and moving on, he needs to make it known that bantering other people is more important than taking the point away from the Etihad. It's crazy.
If I've got nothing to talk about, why do you have to talk over me? I don't
We're having a debate. We're having a debate,
Exactly. So you talk, I talk, right?
right?
Not you
We're
talk,
having
I
a
talk.
debate.
You cut
One
me
of
off.
us is backing our team to win the league from the off.
Mhm.
The other one said you can't do it. But now
The other
Rodgers
one,
injured. Now Rodgers injured. Your bollocks have fell back out your duds.
the
Now
other
you're back.
one, the other one predicted second. You can frame it how you want, but that was my prediction. I didn't say we can't. I said we can.
Yeah.
I actually said we're going to
Yeah.
finish second, but we can. That was it. But you can frame it how you want because you want to talk about the mentality is the thing that does it. No, performances like yesterday is what does it. Getting City, not just fans, because I haven't even talked about your players being rattled.
This is another thing that I see happen a lot, and it's not like don't do it or I take issue with it. I just say it non-stop where you have to have all this chest on an opinion or else it's not valid, it doesn't count. The same way if somebody says something negative about the football club I follow or a player that plays for me, and if I don't defend them to the umpteenth degree, then it somehow makes it true and they're going to lose all their form and all their records and glories and everything that they held prior to this person making a comment that all disappears. Like it just gets Thanos. That's not reality. It's crazy how online the discourse now revolves around how much chest you have, how much you can put your balls on the line, quote unquote, all because of a footballing opinion or a prediction. It's actually, it is crazy to me that people go to these lengths. It ain't that deep, brother.
Told to
And to
shut the
cut
fuck
me
up.
off again before I talk about Haaland being rattled, before I talk about Bernardo Silva being rattled. What do you make of that, Steve? Why are they rattled?
How are they rattled? Because
How?
they're calling out your mentality.
How?
That's not
Our
rattled.
You lot
That's not
celebrated the
rattled.
draw. What do you mean mentality? I don't get
Hold
it.
on a
1 week
minute.
is
Hold on a
mentality.
minute.
You
Hold
got
on a
hold
minute.
on.
Hold
1
on a
week is
minute. In the
mentality.
context
Hold
of
on,
the
Steve.
game. In the
1 week is
context of the
mentality.
game.
You've got to win at the Etihad with 11 men. Now it's mentality to draw at home to 10 men.
You camped in your own box for 45 minutes.
Any more balls to juggle, Steve? Any
In
more things?
the context of the game, if you score a 98th minute equaliser, are we not allowed to celebrate that?
Of course. And if we stay top
Right.
of the league after playing at the
Right.
Etihad, are we
So-
not allowed to be happy about that?
Yeah, of course you are.
So
But
what
you
did
came for the
what did you
point.
say? Did you say,
Listen,
of course you are last year?
You came for the point last season thinking that was going to win you the league, and it didn't win you the league.
Okay.
So there you go. So in the context of it, that looked like you thought you'd won the league and you didn't. And at the end of the day, you thought you'd won at the Etihad and you didn't.
I know.
Same as the
You saw
league.
me at the end, I was gutted. At the end, my initial reaction was
There you go.
gutted. But then,
So
when I
how has it turned into an Arsenal celebration?
because of
And
your
apparently
message,
I'm rattled. If
because
you
your
were
message.
disappointed.
Okay, Tobes, Grizz, and Matisse was there. When we conceded, when we drew, I was gutted. I looked at my WhatsApp. I see Big Bad Shark Steve write mentality in capital letters after
Yeah,
drawing
because
2-2 at
do you know what
home.
happened?
Wait, Steve,
you know what?
please,
You know
civil
what?
play. Civil
Because I'm
play.
winding every
Civil play,
fucking single
play.
one of you up in the chat, and you fucking not that you're that stupid. You don't even see it.
I have not heard a single Arsenal fan speak online, and if I've missed something, I probably could have, but I've not heard a single Arsenal fan speak online and say, "Oh yeah, definitely, I'm happy with that point because that's what we came there for." No, I've heard a lot of them say they were disappointed because they were seconds away from winning 2-1 away at the Etihad with 10 men. Now, some will say, yes, but we've seen other teams come and play toe-to-toe and beat City at the Etihad. And yes, we've also seen other players come with 10 men and get absolutely pantsed like we did many years ago, 5-0 when Sadio Mane got sent off. Because we still tried to play football and we got taken apart. But a normal football fan will understand that when a team is down a player, naturally they're going to defend. When a team has a lead to defend, they're going to ultra defend. And that's what Arsenal did. Ideally, probably would have wanted to maybe put somebody out as an outlet, leave Saka on the pitch and take somebody else off. But I think his whole premise was to defend, that being Arteta, because we're 2-1 ahead. All we need to do is defend, see this out, use our strength against their strength, which is Man City's attack. We shall see this fit. So Steve saying at the end there, saying that he texted everybody saying mentality, saying I'm a wind up, I'm winding everybody up. Bruv, if they lost that game, the excuses that would have come out would have been 100 times worse. The cope would have been megatons worse than what we're seeing now from himself and other City fans. And this is no dig as a person to him personally. I don't know him, but from his footballing perspective, bruv, this man is just so annoyed that they didn't get the win against Arsenal after all that, saying you're going to come here, play for the draw, we're going to beat you, it's going to be 2-1 and all this sort of stuff, and then it comes out to be 2-2 by sheer luck. Some will say you make your own luck, pinball in the box, doesn't matter, they got the 2-2, it is what it is. And, you know, if he doesn't really care, Turkish has a point. Why doesn't he let him speak, let him say his thing? It's like if Turkish speaks out against Man City, somehow it devalues everything Man City has done. I swear online discourse is going down the toilet. Now, after that little intro to the whole back and forth, now we're going to see Matisse and Tobes get into this and give their opinion on the game itself. And as far as I can tell, Matisse and Tobes, I think they spoke honestly, openly, and pretty much told Steve what it is, and he still wasn't having any bar of it. But take it away, Matisse.
Let me be very honest. At halftime against 10 men, Manchester City's expectation is to go on and win the game. I'm sorry. Trying to pretend any other reality is, for me... Now, hold on, because I know you're itching to respond already. But Manchester City are Premier League champions. You're at home against a team that you're favourites to beat and that you predicted you'd beat. You're now playing against 10 men. I don't care how they set up, how they low block it, with the quality that you have in your team. £100 million Grealish on the bench, right? Foden, player of the year, on the bench, right? Gundogan back in the team. And I can keep going and going and going. Haaland, right? All these players. Don't try and pretend that one goal in 45 minutes against 10 men is the level. And that's not good enough. So as much as Arsenal fans can't celebrate the win because you guys got in at the end, you were this close to losing at home against 10 men. And that's just, no, but that's reality. So once we stop, hold on a second. Once we stop the bickering and the back and forth and we get to analysing this game, once we start analysing this game, it's not going to come out well for Manchester City. And that's fact. Because we all watched the game. We all watched the lack of ideas, the lack of creativity. Rico Lewis not starting, Walker taking shots, Diaz taking shots. No chance creation, no nothing in that second half. And the only reason why you got that equaliser is literally just because of a lapse of concentration. So once we get to that, because I know we're delaying it, but once we start analysing, it's a long day. Because in the first half, Arsenal were the better team. And that's why they were leading. And that pains me to say as a Chelsea fan, because I would love to sit here and shit on Arsenal. But that's the facts of the matter. They were away from home. You're at home. And you got to go to the Emirates later on in the season. So that Man City don't come out of that game looking good. And Manchester City can't be playing the rattled card with their players at the end of the game when it was you guys that come out of that game looking worse. Yep. That's it.
Yep.
Nothing else to add there. I think Matisse said it perfectly well. And if I may just reiterate that, yes, you're away from home. And I've said this in videos just the other day. If this is Liverpool with a 2-1 lead and they're 10 men against 11 men at the Etihad, I'm expecting them to defend. Granted, maybe play a little bit differently, have someone there who can be an outball. Do you leave Salah on the pitch? Do you put Darwin on there just to run with pace and try and, get some yards up the pitch and separate the play and get everybody spread out? Well, that's down to the manager and we won't know until or if that happens. But apart from that, City are the home team. The onus is always on the home team to take it to the opposition. No matter if it's a stronger opposition coming to your home ground, the onus is on you to go at the game. In this instance here, City were just not good enough. I know many a City fan who were critical at their own players. I know LB was, I know Nobbins was, I know Huey was as well. I know Patrick was. Vader, I think, was a little bit annoyed that Arsenal didn't come to play or have a go at Man City, which is what Steve is alluding to here as well. In the stream at least, because yes, they're going to come there and defend because they have a lead to defend. It wasn't 1-1 and saying, okay, we're going to hold for the draw. If it was 1-1, they maybe would have played a little bit differently, try and had an outball or an outlet and have someone try and go forward and make something happen on the other end of the pitch. That's not how the game went. So I don't have anything against what Matisse said. I think it was perfectly said. The players for Man City, Pep Guardiola, shat the bed on this one here, and they only have themselves to blame because you're used to playing against low blocks non-stop and you still managed to win somehow. Just not this time.
Steve's talking about players talking. Bernardo Silva's come out in the press conference talking about, when we play Liverpool, it's never like this. Brother, who cares? It's your job as a player to find the best possible performance for your team to win the game of football. He was crap.
And we drew.
No, yeah. But Bernardo Silva's coming out in the press complaining about how Arsenal are setting up. The guy was shit in the first half. The guy was shit in the second half as well. Against 10 men.
Right.
He couldn't even beat Martinelli on the wide. On the right hand side.
Let's not pretend.
No, wait. No. It's my turn to speak.
Not pretend we played Bournemouth, and Bournemouth have put 10 men on the edge of the box. Apparently, Arsenal's the best defence in Europe, yeah? So we went up against a solid 10 at the back, and we camped in their half at 80% possession. So we were trying to get through a low block, an ultra low block. Not a low block against Brighton, not a low block against Everton, a low block against Arsenal, right? So in the context of it, trying to get through that low, what's the 4 mean? I know we won 4 in a row, mate.
Exactly. You've won 4 in a row. You mention it when you want to mention it, but we're at home against us with 10 men then.
Right, and you got a point.
Use it and say Arsenal.
You got a point. You got a point.
Full time.
A point.
Beat us.
Is this what we're celebrating now?
No.
So you're celebrating 4 games where you didn't lose against Man City. Is that your life?
About you. I'm saying you're 4-time champions. You're 4-time champions. Going into a second half.
We just played into Milan the other night, yeah, and we couldn't score. We couldn't score against them.
Sorry, Tob. Sorry.
We couldn't score against them.
I don't know what their point was trying to be proved there, but you're the home team. Your players were not great. Couldn't crack this Arsenal defense. You are lucky to get the draw there. And you know they're lucky the way they celebrated at the end, running around, doing all the madness, Haaland picking up the ball and throwing it against Gabriel's head. It's a bit mad. I think it's funny. By the letter of the law, worthy of a yellow card. Arguably should have been given a yellow card way earlier in the game for Erling Haaland. But anyways, it is what it is. He had his spat at the end there, stay humble and all that nonsense. Trying to be, Vigo the Carpathian. But in any case, we move. Look, yes, doesn't matter if City played Inter the other day. Doesn't matter. Arsenal went away to Atalanta. They were below average in that game. If not for Reyes' penalty save and double save, they might have lost that game coming into this game with a little bit of a momentum shift or a different mentality, shall we say. But for City's case, again, it's been said many a time, I'm going to say it again, they are the home team. It is on them. 4-time Premier League winners, back to back. Yeah? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times. Quad leagues. Why are they not breaking down this Arsenal defense? If Arsenal are not that great, if Arsenal don't worry them, if Arsenal are not real contenders to Manchester City. I would much love it if Liverpool were there being contenders to Manchester City, which we well may be. I don't know. We might go there and get a draw, win maybe even, who the hell knows. But at this point in time, going to the Etihad, escaping with a draw is not the worst result because everyone knows how difficult it is to go to the Etihad, which was Arsenal's main point last year and the year before that. Last year, different approach. Maybe thought, you know what, we'll get a draw, do the business against a couple of other teams and we win the league. And if they did the business against a few other teams, they would have won the league, no doubt. By a few points, no less. But that's not how it went. So this year, they did the business in the first half. They played, they took pressure on, they went out and they conceded first. And then they took the game to Man City. City messed up a couple of times for a few goals. Doesn't matter how they scored, they all count. There was 2-1 up, player got sent off. What do we do in the second half? We have a lead, let's defend it. Arguably should have done something a little bit different, but that's beside the point. They will look to defend the lead. They were 10 seconds away from it. That's what happened. Conceded late. Steve wants to say like, oh, yeah, and we got the point. Also, now we're celebrating draws. It's no. Arsenal fans were devastated. Arsenal players were livid. They collapsed on the pitch because they did not get the win. They didn't get 3 points after all their hard work. And City fans celebrated, running around all over the place like they'd won the game, but it was just an equalizer. So you tell me, are City fans running around celebrating because they burst Arsenal's little defense bubble, or are they running around celebrating because, hey, we didn't lose, in which case we still have ground on this Arsenal team? You can decide.
How many times in a game have you been to where a team goes down to 10 men and defends better with 10 than when they've got 11? How many times does that happen? A 100%. Lot. Right. Yeah. So Arsenal are already a good defence. They dug deep, and I'm not criticising them for digging deep. I said that it was a good defensive performance. But to try, they were 60 seconds away from beating us and us losing 3 points. We got a goal back in the last minute and got a point. So for me, in the context of the game, with what we had to do and what we was up against, a well-drilled back 10, I'm happy with that point. You might not be happy with it. You can criticise Bernardo Silva all you want, but all I'm saying is we've played 5 games, we're top of the league, yeah, and we're okay.
So now in the context of the game, now it matters why they got the point, because Arsenal had 10 men behind the ball. City tried, huffed and puffed, couldn't score more than a goal, and that goal came late in the second half. Late in the game, 96th minute of the match. Bit funny that last year the context didn't matter, whatever Arsenal's plan was, to come there, not to lose, and then win the remaining games. The remaining games didn't happen. We know that. We know that's what happened. But to say now, I'm okay with the point based on the circumstances, well, why were Arsenal fans not okay with the point last year? Why were they laughed and mocked at when they said, you know what, we're going away to the Etihad, probably won't be able to play our normal brand of football in order for us to win the game. So let's go there, play counter-attacking football, play defensive, try and nick something on the counter-attack. It didn't happen. City didn't score either. Finish 0-0. Take the point. Cool. They move. That's what it is. Now, apparently, it's okay. The context now matters for how you get the points. Arsenal fans will be devastated that they didn't get the win. City fans are buzzing that they didn't lose that game. So what are we doing here? Now, the last clip, Tobes came back and then some and absolutely dropped some bombs, some facts. And don't diss Tobes. People might want to banter him for the trophies that his team has not won recently, but the man actually knows a thing or two about football as well, okay?
Sorry, that doesn't really wash with me, to be honest. Bernardo Silva was crap. Man City had the extra man. Yes, you're playing up against the best defense in the league, absolutely, and Arsenal deserve credit for how they defended. But the fact of the matter is this. You have been on this panel, and I've laughed with you when we've criticized Arsenal for celebrating certain things that they shouldn't celebrate. Celebration police. You've done that in the past. And now you're saying in the grand scheme of things, you should be happy that your team saved themselves from secondhand. In fact, you haven't even saved yourselves from secondhand embarrassment because it's embarrassing. Pep Guardiola stood there in the dugout.
The trot's not embarrassing.
It is embarrassing. In this game in isolation, it's
embarrassing is a Tottenham fan trying to tell me about fucking football.
Yes, exactly. I knew, and I'm so glad you said this. I'm so glad you said this about this Tottenham fan, because when it was time to go in on Tottenham last week or the week before, you didn't hold back. You said Spurs are shit. This, that. Costa del Sol. So now I'm asking you this question: champion mentality, 4-time Premier League champions in a row, and you're actually you've actually got the gall, the cheek to actually come here and think we're gonna lap up this. Oh yeah, it was a good result. Well, I'm happy. You're not happy.
No, I'm just telling you, in my opinion, it's a good result. I don't care what you think.
But you're not happy.
It's a good result.
If this is you happy with that result, then God help us. You are clearly not happy. You're not happy. You're interjecting everyone whenever they make their opinion. Your face is redder than a tomato. You're not happy, brother. You're not happy. I promise you, you are not happy. You know you're not happy with that.
I'm really happy.
You're not.
More than you believe, as Pep says. More than you believe.
You're not. Exactly. No. So
you wanted to win that game.
You're using the manager's term, and we know when he says more than you believe.
You're not. It's a bit of a weird thing that's going on, because you're saying you wanted to win that game. I told you we wanted to win that game.
And
I told you in the context, we lost Rodri, who was our main guy before the thing.
Sorry,
bro. No.
Oh my God,
Arsenal don't have Odegaard. Before the game, hold on a second.
Hold on, I'm not blaming Rodri. I said when we lost Rodri, we lost our rhythm. Did we not lose the rhythm?
They didn't have Odegaard. So we're not going to do the excuses with the injuries. Before the game, you wanted to win 11v11. 11v11. How can you lose that game 11v10?
Who's made an excuse? I didn't make an excuse.
How can that help you?
Steve.
I just said to you, when we lost Rodri, we lost the rhythm because we had to replace him with Kovacic. He's not the same player.
Rhythm is a dancer. Steve.
Right? So that's what I'm saying. We found ourselves 2-1 down, right? 2-1 down. And at the end of the day, no matter what you think, no matter what you say, we've already beat Chelsea this season. So how he can pipe up down there, I don't know.
It's not about it. I'll be honest. I'm here on analysing this game.
And
you can use the 4 trophies in the other game to save you. But when we talk about this game,
you two cannot tell me how I feel.
Yes, we can.
I get it. I get it. Listen, I get it. You were at the game. No, I get it. You were at the game. There was a dopamine that came in and the last minute equaliser. I'm just saying, when that happens to other teams, you can't say, oh, you can't
I can say what I want. I can
No,
say
you
what I
don't
want.
can't.
happy,
No,
Steve.
no, you
Not
can't.
happy.
You can't. You
Why are
can't be
you
a
pretending
hypocrite.
you're happy?
You can't be a hypocrite. If you're going to celebrate a draw, if you're going to celebrate a draw,
Why
when
are you
other people
pretending you're
celebrate a
happy
draw,
with this?
you have to remember. That's all
Why?
it is.
You're not
No, no,
happy.
no. I'm doing this now. I'm doing this. I'm doing this.
You
I'm
can't
doing
do
this.
shit, mate. You don't know what you're
Listen,
talking about. You.
Listen, I got 2 stars. You got 1. You fucking respect me, right?
Two
Don't
stars?
stop. I don't respect
Oi,
you over there,
mate.
right? 2 stars over here.
Go on,
Yeah,
Matisse.
1 over there. 2 here, 1 there, right?
Fucking
Remember
Chelsea
that.
fan.
1 in
Go on,
Porto.
Matisse.
On your head top, yeah?
Chelsea fan.
Flew out to Portugal.
Fuck, they're
Fucking
loaded.
booked a
Matisse.
flight, got
Hey.
sunburnt and fucking lost.
Listen, you're just
Understand?
sucking up for Turkish. That's all you're doing.
Steve, I want you to know that I sang your song yesterday. I sang City, best team in the land, all the way.
You lot all
Celebrating.
I don't want you singing my song, mate. I don't want a Spurs fan jinxing my team. Don't ever sing my song again. Keep my team's name out of your mouth.
Oh, so that's what it comes down to. Don't be let down.
Absolutely pathetic in the second half. It was pathetic.
So then the narrative changes then. Now it's a good result for Man City. Why is it a good result? If Arsenal are not your threat, if Arsenal are not a team that is in contention for your quest for 5 in a row, why is this now a good result? Because you're losing and you managed to scrape a draw. Anytime we would play and we're losing and we scrape a draw, I'll say I'm pretty upset with that, depending on how the game goes. If we're the worst team on the day and we manage to jag something at the end, I'll say, you know what, we fought back to the end, we got the draw, all right, shit performance, but let's pick it up and we go again the next week. I'm not going to sit there and say, like, in the grand scheme of the blah, 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 take the point and go. If you're in the lead and you concede late, you can be annoyed about it. Arsenal will be annoyed. City will be happy with this point. But again, for him to come here and say that, you know what, I'm happy with the point and everything else in between. Again, not looking at the players, not looking at the team. A lot has been made about this Arsenal defense, but not a lot has been said about this Man City team. With or without Rodri, with or without De Bruyne, they're meant to be the bee's knees. Well, show us. You're a man up. Opposition is missing their main playmaker. Their star player was off the pitch as well. Saka got subbed at the half to compensate for Trossard's red card. So not only were they missing an actual striker, they were missing their star boy, Bukayo Saka, and missing Martin Odegaard, their main creator. And they still defended and managed to walk away there with an unfortunate point for Arsenal. For Man City, different story. Obviously, City fans will take the point and say, you know what, I'm not that happy with that, but we'll take the point. It wasn't a loss. We'll move. They're not going to make excuses saying, oh, but this, oh, but that. You're playing against 10 men. You're the home team. You're big Man City, 4-peat winners, all that sort of stuff. You should be winning these games at home. It is what it is. Anyways, that's it from me. Big ups to the boys on the Big Six. I can't wait for City fans to be in the comments telling me how rattled I am when I just dissected what was said on the stream, or call me a jealous Liverpool fan or loser pool or whatever kindergarten terms they want to give me. So looking forward to that. But in any case, you let me know your thoughts down below. A link posted to the stream as well. Big up to the Big Six panel. Everyone else in between. I'll catch you on the next one.